Paddy Cullivan, I don't know whether to call you an historical entertainer or Ireland's most entertaining historian. Given that you're not really a historian, but you are now, aren't you?
I kind of am, yeah, by mistake.
But these shows that you've done about Michael Collins and WOLFE are history, but actually we're here to talk to you about the future.
Yes, well, it's funny because the last two shows concentrated on the past and the murder of WOLFE, the murder of Michael Collins. And then, as I was bringing WOLFE around the north last year, it was incredible. I was going to towns like Downpatrick and half the audience were Presbyterian or Protestant, Northern.
Did they need an interpreter?
No, but they corrected me quite substantially. It was excellent. And I was doing the Year of the French. I did WOLFE. They're fascinated with the 1798 history, of course, because Irish republicanism was invented by Presbyterians and Protestants and centred around Belfast.
And did they know that before they came to the event, or did they come to the event because they knew that?
They knew it, but obviously it's just to learn more. And then I started meeting groups like Reclaim the Enlightenment. And then I'm in Antrim last June, where Stephen McCracken, who's a descendant of Henry Joy, who's part of Reclaim the Enlightenment, is running an 11-day festival to do with 1798 in Antrim town, which was quite bizarre, doing bus tours all day, touring Randallstown and where it all happened, and Mahara and places like this.
Because when we think of 1798, I presume we think of Wexford mainly, don't we, and things like that?
Oh yeah, down in Antrim are big spots where it took off, and under, again, Presbyterians. And it was interesting, and I'm sitting there going, this is incredible, Stephen, that I'm, doing these shows, and a lot of Ulster Protestant and Presbyterians are coming along, and at all the gigs they're talking about what the future might hold since Brexit, So I have to do this kind of United Ireland show. I have to do a show about the future. But I don't want to call it United Ireland because it's...
Why not?
Because there's too many connotations, and it's been kind of the cry of Republicans for years.
But I thought that's what you wanted.
Well, of course I want it, but I reunite.
You're dealing in euphemisms now instead, are you?
Well, I like to say reunited, Matt, to be honest with you, because we were together as a country for 10,000 years. It's only the last 100 years we've been
there's been an artificial division.
Yes, of course. And of course, WOLFE favourite city was Belfast, and people would travel up and down and all in between. And I said, and I don't want to call it Agreed Ireland or Shared Ireland or New Ireland, because New gets old very quickly and the other two are kind of wimpy sounding. And Stephen just comes out, well, why don't you just call it I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland?
As in, I can't believe it's not butter.
Like the butter. And I was annoyed, but the whole table were laughing, and I was going, maybe this is some strange northern thing that they find this type of thing funny. But the more I thought about it, the more he was right, which is, if we do have an Agreed Ireland in 2032, which is where my show is premised, in a new, we have a poll in 2030, we have a United Ireland, we're all going to wake up, and it's not just going to be a Northern Ireland just lamped onto the Republic and we all keep everything the way it is. We're all going to wake up with different perceptions of the Ireland that we conjured up ourselves in the last 100 years as not being the real thing. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, we have the opportunity to build a brand new country, and so I set the show. The second half of the show is set in the future and what actually happened.
And what do you do in a show set in the future as you now move from history to science fiction?
Well, you see, there's an argument of Kierkegaard talked about remembering the future, and the sad thing is remembering a future you will never have. But Guy Biner and people have done work on this, which is a kind of a projected history. You kind of take what's going on today and you project into the future. So funny enough, I've used AI, and a lot of my musician friends and designer friends, because I study both, are all upset about AI, but I'm here to tell you it's great.
In what way?
Because you can conjure up things. So for instance, I have, I don't believe that Belfast or Dublin will agree on a capital. They won't. They simply won't. And so the natural place to have a capital is Athlone. And of course, if we're going to build a brand new parliament building and be like Canberra or be like Ankara or Brasilia, all these countries have decided we'll have a capital in a different place to the actual capital city. And then I designed a parliament building in the only architectural motif that both loyalists and southern people will agree on, which is the circle, because both the bonfire on July 12th is a beautifully made circle of pallets, and our ancient Celtic stone circles, as in on Greenan or Newgrange. And of course, we'll have a circular parliament building, 250 members of the Dáil, or the Parliament of the New Ireland, on the Shannon in Athlone in a city of 1 million people. I was able to type that into AI and actually get the images. So at my show, I project these images of brand new Parliament buildings, brand new what I call OM scrapers, which is where we house people in these...
So what are they called?
OM scrapers. They're kind of OM stones and things like that, but you do a skyscraper as an OM stone. There's a lot of great design elements in this.
Okay.
And it's all very optimistic and future-oriented, but I'm using AI to conjure these images, especially of a thing I call the Schnochtepiercer, which is basically it's high-speed rail that connects every city in Ireland together in a permanent circle going around the country, 15 minutes between each major city. Never mind the Greens' idea of 15-minute cities, we now have 15 minutes between each city. So 15 minutes from Galway to Athlone, 15 minutes from Athlone to Dublin, and everywhere in between. It's going to be great fun.
Tell us a little bit, though, about how we'd get towards this Ireland.
Yeah.
Not how I didn't say United Ireland, because I suppose I grew up remembering in the 1970s as a child, but then the perception would have been that Northern Ireland was a far more progressive and wealthier place than the priest-ridden, poverty-strewn Republic of Ireland. And I had this said to me even as a child when I used to go to Belfast each summer because my mother was from Belfast. And then if you move into the 21st century, there's almost a condescension by the south towards the north in that, well, we're economically booming. We're socially more progressive than you are. You're actually stuck in the previous centuries. You're dependent on Britain for your economy. So when we unite, you'll have to do it on our terms and become like us. But it won't be like that, will it?
I don't think it will be like that. And that's why, we're all going to wake up and it'll be a little bit like that film Goodbye Lenin, where the kids have to pretend to their mom that East Germany hasn't fallen and they haven't joined together. It's quite interesting. But I think it won't be like that because there are good things in the north that we can do in the south. We can actually start naming roads. Every road in the north has a name to it, whereas in Ireland we have air codes and just boardings. I have no idea. But you're right, and I've actually done some serious research into that. On top of the comedy and the imagery and the songs and all the fun that you'll see in the show, I've studied Brendan O'Leary with the Aaron's Project and things like that, and actually seen where are the moments of agreement, where are the union. We always talk about unionist fears, but there's southern fears as well. And, a lot of the people in the south said in the research, we would never get rid of the anthem or the flag or anything like that. And you're kind of going, well, everything has to be on the table, guys. Nobody wins unless everybody wins. And so we have to have a few things. But funny enough, speaking of roads, let's say, remember how roads were superior in the north for so long and now our roads are seemingly better. And then when the Irish government decided to give £500,000 towards the A5, there's a huge protest.
Sorry, €600 million.
Sorry, €600 million. And it's, there's already a protest that, that should be up to Westminster. And I kind of think there should be more of a, what I like to call the Q tourism, that we all kind of, the protocol was a great answer, let's say, to the Brexit problem. And
except a small minority objected and rejected it.
Yes, but they could have had almost a Singapore situation where they become a conduit between North and, between Europe and the rest of the world. Yeah,
but they made their perceived Britishness more important.
Exactly. But, there's other elements of, let's say, if we agree something like rejoining the Commonwealth, which I used to think of as being one of those staple things that I would never do. But the more I looked into it, the more I realised that many of the countries in the Commonwealth are republics, including Barbados, which just declared itself a republic. And really, it's just a shop. It's a grocery shop the way the EU should be as well. And in a sense, if Ireland was to be both a member of both the Commonwealth and the EU...
Like we were offering Northern Ireland a chance to be a member of the EU and be a member of the UK.
Well, there you go. All of a sudden, then all of Ireland becomes like Singapore, and we have this great opportunity to kind of be a member of both shops, if you know what I mean, and be a conduit between both. So I think there's great significance and great success to be had, and great economic success to be had from unity. I don't think it's any more an argument of identities and things like that, and that's why I don't hold on to the tricolour in the show. I actually propose different things. I even propose different anthems, because you're never going to get someone in East Belfast to sing Aaron Levein. You know what I mean? And I think there's a great opportunity, especially for younger people now, to actually invent a new country. Who gets an opportunity ever to do something like that?
The thing is, and we had Alan Gilson in last week about his documentary in relation to it. I mean, is there a thing developing that maybe a new country is being developed that is Northern Ireland, in that it's no longer a nationalist or unionist divide, that you now have an awful lot of people who aren't culturally Catholic or aren't culturally Protestant, who may have come from overseas, and who see this new entity sort of developing that is more distant from being British in the UK, but is also distant from the Republic. It's this new thing, Northern Ireland.
Yes, but I think our similarities are starting to become a lot closer as well, and that the experiences are closer. Identity politics, I mean, the tricolour itself representing green and orange, I think that's far too unimaginative, really, for what we are, in that you're just saying that, you know, Catholic nationalist people are green, you know, loyal orange people, they are that. And I think we should dream far bigger than that, of course, especially since we have so many other identities and other cultures in the place, but all under the common name, as Wolfe Tone said, of Irishmen, and that's where we should be going.
So just to finish, tell us about the show and tell us about the music and comedy, because that's the key thing about going to the show, isn't it?
Well, it's a good part. There's plenty of songs in it. I have a song about partition. I have songs about the election itself, listening to the people, and about bringing people together. And again, I go back to, you know, the comedy element is always there. You know, we'll finally find out in a United Ireland that Jeffrey Donaldson is actually Daniel O'Donnell.
Hang on a second.
Have you ever seen them in the same room? They parked their hair the same way.
There's a remarkable similarity, isn't there?
Absolutely the same person. I guarantee you at night.
I've never heard Jeffrey Donaldson sing, though.
No, but I can
That said, I've always tried to make sure I haven't heard Daniel O'Donnell sing either.
Have you ever heard him sing? But this is the thing. And so, therefore, there's lots of fun to be had in it, including the age-old battle, like which Tato will win out. You know, obviously, Southern Tato is superior.
Obviously.
But the headquarters of Tato Castle in Tandregee is a little bit cooler than Tato Park. So there's all this stuff to be played with and have fun. And again, I go back to these wonderful people that I'm meeting, you know, at my shows in the north. A lot of Presbyterians and Protestants, they're not going to vote Sinn Féin in the morning. They're not going to vote for Unite Ireland in the morning, but they are thinking and talking all the time about where we're going. And as the great comedian from Catchphrase, Roy Walker, said, it's not about where you're from, it's where you're going. And that's what this show's all about.
If you want more details about all the venues, it starts in Downpatrick on the 14th of March and is running all the way through to November indeed, in Birr. Really